With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I am so excited today. I've got actor, producer, director, David Millbern with me. So welcome, David.
Hey, Michael. Nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
That's a lot of hats.
Yeah, right. I know.
No writing in there? You're not doing any writing?
No. I've written a couple series for TV. I wrote this documentary, 100 Years of Men in Love. No, I'm writing too. So yeah, it's been.
That's a lot of hats. Now I'm excited to talk about the documentary, but before we do, tell me a little bit, because you've been doing this for a long time. You know, how did you get into the entertainment business? Why did you want to become an actor?
It was, McDonald's. McDonald's for the first time I auditioned for a commercial. I was a young kid, and I played the counter boy that introduced Glasses to Go, that sang that song, Glasses to Go, Glasses to Go. McDonald's has McDonald and Glasses to Go. So I'm
old enough, I remember those.
Yeah, that was huge. It was the first time that a fast food, you could get a Coca-Cola and in a real nice glass and keep it.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the first. And then they had me do that whole campaign, and then they had me do their Sunday Smile. I was their Sunday Smile for when they introduced their soft swirl ice cream. And
very nice.
You got to keep the bowl this time. And my dad was a drummer, and he had to give up drumming and his passion for playing music when kids started to come along. And he said to me, David, I was a kid. He said, you're making a lot of money. Maybe you should really go for it. Maybe you should try to be an actor. And to this day, I remember him saying that. And he said, don't live a life of regret. Don't end up 40 years old saying, well, what if I would have, So I went for it, and they put me through the best schools, graduated Northwestern. I studied with Lee Strasberg.
That's good parenting.
Yeah, I studied with Lee Strasberg in New York when I was 17, became a professional observer of the Actors Studio, was around the best people possible. My parents supported me because they knew, and I think in this case, my dad really knew, what it's like to live a life that you would say, well, maybe I should have stuck with the drumming,
Well, most of us have those little regrets. And thing in there.
I know. I don't like to live my life that way, but I did a celebration, a salute to my dad, and a cabaret act I did on a cruise line once. And one of my earliest memories was going down to the Italian Villa restaurant in Muncie, Indiana, and seeing my dad play on Saturdays. And he used to sing Up the Lazy River. So I sang that song in tribute to my dad in my cabaret act at one point.
Yeah, that's terrific. Well, good for you. That's and good for him that he pushed you in that, or at least pointed you in that direction, because obviously it's paid off.
Well, Slumber Party Massacre was my first film. It became a cult film. I still go to conventions and sign autographs. I mean, as I did it when I was 15 years old.
That's a classic.
Yeah, they did 2 sequels, and then Roger Corman starred me in my next film, the second film I ever did, Sorceress. And when they were honoring Roger Corman a few years at the Academy Awards, I happened to be at the Academy Awards, and I went over to his table. He was sitting, he's 83 years old. And I was about to say, looking down at him, I was about to say, David Millbern, Slumber Party Massacre. He looked up and said, David Millbern, Slumber Party Massacre. I go, Roger, oh my God, He goes, do you know what my #1 film is? He had just opened up on his online video store. And he said, your film, Slumber Party Massacre, is my #1. He's a great guy. He's a great
amazing
guy.
Yeah, he figured out something that worked and just stuck with it.
Yeah, he did.
A lot of us grew up kind of watching his movies.
I still like him. I mean, Robert De Niro. I mean, Shelley Winters became a friend of mine at the Actors Studio, and
Nice.
they all started with Roger, and I'm honored that was my first and second film with Roger Corman.
Yeah, yeah. What a start!
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing. I know that you did a voice. You were a lieutenant on Robotech.
Yeah, Louis Nichols, Robotech.
Louis Nichols.
Again, I mean, it was a job. I'm a journeyman actor. And that was a job that you have to go in and record in the middle of the night, and you do your 23 episodes. And I remember attending a conference, being on stage for Robotech fans, and they'd go, "Oh, David Millbern, do that thing that Louis Nichols does with his voice. Come on, do it for us live in front of us." Well, I didn't know what they were referring to. So I quickly said, "Oh, come on, now you do it first. Tell me how you're imitating me.
Smart.
Do it first." And then they did this line, whatever, and it reminded me what they were referring to. But these fans I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
What's the line? Are you not going to do it?
I can't even remember now. I can't even remember now.
I was trying to think. I was like, what was the line? But it's
certainly meant a lot to. I think it was some line where I cracked my voice because I was playing an adolescent. Louis Nichols was this boy wonder, and I think I purposely cracked my voice on the line or whatever. But
Robotech was when we got cable TV. That was like one of the first animes that kind of came with cable. So we were big fans.
Well, and they were adult themes. They were animated characters that were dealing with, adult, real life issues, and that was, that was kind of new at the time.
Yeah, yeah, and I saw. I didn't realize it, but I saw you did some voice work for Gatchaman too.
Yeah. The voice work is, it's a talent. I love it. There's so many people that are so talented, and they base their careers in voice. I didn't want to get hooked into that, although I enjoy the work that I did there. But it's just like General Hospital. I mean, I played John Stamos's best friend on General Hospital for a year, and soap actors work so hard. It's such tough work, and I admire them so much. But I didn't want to like be just known as a soap actor. I moved on to Lifetime and Sci-Fi and nighttime television. But then I kind of wanted to write. I wanted to produce. I wanted to tell my own stories.
Well, yeah, and you've done such a great job with that. I mean, are you still acting when something comes across that you're interested in, or are you strictly doing the extra?
That's exactly it. If the script turns me on, if I feel like I can add something to it, if I'm passionate about the story and the message, yes, absolutely. But I'm writing my own stuff too, that I kind of.
Do you put yourself in there?
Well, I've got 2 films out now that are making the rounds, and I've put myself in a role. Because I've been in situations on the other side of the table where I have cast myself. It's like, well, no one's coming in and bringing in more or not as good as what I could do with this role. So I guess I'm going to take the role.
If you have to.
Well, no, seriously. No, Michael, it's all about the art. If somebody comes in a piece, the piece is its own baby. It lives, it breathes. If somebody comes in with something that's better than what I could do, I say, I'm so thankful. Thank you so much. I find that I don't have any ego. I've been around enough that I don't have any ego. It's been whacked out.
That's a nice place to be, I think.
Yeah.
A lot less stress that way.
And you want the best for the project. You really want the best for the project. I'll tell you, as a producer, you look at a film that you've produced and you think, oh, yeah, I hired the director and I made the script changes there and I selected the composer and I worked with the editor to move that scene. And you look at the overall project and you realize that you're all over the place. as opposed to as an actor, you've got this script and it's confined. And if you're a good actor, you blow it open and you massage it and give levels and things, but you're still at the mercy of the director, the producer, the editor. And what ends up on that screen, who knows? Who knows what's going to end up there?
That's exactly right. Well, let's talk about the documentary. So it's 100 Years of Men in Love, The Accidental Collection. So explain that. What is it about? And what does that mean, the Accidental Collection?
Well, I'll tell you something. It's a very personal story. When I was growing up in Indiana, I was rummaging through pictures of my parents, boxes and shoe boxes and whatever. I found this tintype. This tintype.
Look at that.
Are two handsome men sitting close to each other with their legs crossed to each other. And they're holding a little placard that says Bourbon, Indiana, 1908.
Wow.
Well, my dad was born in Bourbon, Indiana in 1926. So I asked my parents, I said, well, what's with the type? What's going on here? They go, oh, that's your great uncle and his friend or whatever. So it always had such fascination for me.
Yeah.
So as I grew up, because I really didn't know anything about it, I came across Hugh, Nini, and Neal Treadwell's collection of pictures just like this.
Wow.
Pictures, and they started themselves with one picture, and they said, we'll never have another picture like this that looks like these two men have a relationship. And then they found another one and another one. 3,700 pictures later, they're
all like older pictures, right?
Yeah. I mean, the film, the documentary, the TV special goes from 1859 to 1959.
Wow.
So I called Neal and Hugh up and I said, I think this might make a really interesting TV special documentary. Will you give me access? They gave me all 3,700 pictures. I culled them down to 350. It answered a question that I always had in my mind. And literally, it's a documentary about the history of photography, too. We start out with tintypes. We go to photo booths. What's specific about a photo booth? Well, you could go into that booth, close that curtain. There was no photographer. There was no developer. And you could be as intimate wanted or close, express your emotions to your partner, and that machine spit out those pictures, and no one had them but you. Now, these pictures that Hugh and Neal found were from shoe boxes, were from bought in antique stores, rummage sales, and some were like pristine and gorgeous as if they were on a mantle, and others were like creased and stained and put into a wallet. And you have to realize that when these pictures were taken, these men, had they been found out, had their emotions and their expressions of love been detected, they were risking everything. They were risking their livelihoods. They were risking employment. So we stand on the freedoms that we have to express today. We stand on these shoulders of these men who, none of them are alive anymore, but I just really fantasize about how they would feel now, knowing that their love that they captured so bravely is now there for posterity, but it's showing us the way. They tell us that, if you have a light and you want to ignite someone's torch to carry on, what you don't pass your torch because you're in the dark. You keep being an activist, but you light somebody's torch so that they can carry on as well in the light. I think that this documentary is showing young people that we have been around. LGBTQ has been around.
Yeah.
There were brave people who said, I'm going to put it on the line. My love means that much to me that I'm going to capture it in a picture. And they did. And
I think that's so amazing, because when you look back at those times, it was obviously so important to them that they wanted a memento.
I know.
Even though that was risky.
Oh, I mean, it was It was everything. We have a section in the TV special where men are holding umbrellas. Well, you think, why an umbrella? Well, if they're holding the stem together, their hands are touching. Also, the umbrella is shielding other eyes from looking in and staring at whatever is going on. So we realized that the umbrella during the late 1800s was kind of the rainbow flag at the time. You know, that was a symbol because there are many, many pictures of umbrellas. Why? You know, I've won about 20 film festivals on with this film, and I sit in the back of these theaters, hundreds of people, and I see audiences just kind of surrender. They don't know what they're getting into, but the film is a journey. It's a journey of photography. It's a journey of relationships. It's a journey. I had a woman come up to me and say, David, I wish to God some man would have looked in my eyes the way I see these guys looking at each other. Well, first of all, I said, you know, oh, how sad, you know, but the love just leaps off the screen. And as we know, love is universal. And it's quite an amazing, in fact, the Palm Springs Art Museum is having it as a fundraiser because it is really an art piece. You know, it's not just a montage. I make sure that the audience gets to envelop the picture in, you know, immerse the picture. It was also put in the Hollywood Museum here on Hollywood and Vine.
Oh, wow.
Installation. So the film's getting really, really good response. I couldn't.
Do you go into like the lives of these men, or is it just about the pictures? I mean, do you actually go and find out some history with some?
It's interesting because on some of the photos, many of them, there's writing on the back.
Oh.
So what I did was, you know, I'm an actor, and we were speaking of voice. I narrate the back of the photos. You know,
I like that.
Photos. So some of them, I mean, I'm thinking of one right now. Two guys in a carriage pulled by a horse, and the guy's got his arm around him, and written on the back says, "Here's a glimpse into a little part of my life that you may not know about."
I love that.
You know, another one in the 50s, to San Francisco, what's written on the back, it says, "Here's your Uncle Bill and his friend Bob. Bob likes horses and would ride them in parades. Your dad says that they're queer as ducks." You know? So that is a glimpse. You know, there another photo. You know, back in the 1800s, you'd go into a photo photography and they'd have props. Well, this one young couple, you know, 18, 19-year-old kids, grabbed this placard that says, "Not married, but willing to be." Now this.
Oh yeah, I saw that picture. That one kind of grabs you around the heart.
Yeah, I mean, this would generally be, you know, picked up by a young man and a young woman, but these two gentlemen said, "You know what? We're not married, but we're willing to be."
Yeah. You know, this documentary, it says a couple of things to me. One, love finds a way, you know, regardless of what's going on in the world around you. It finds a way. And then the other is it makes me sad that we're just now getting to the point that everyone can be kind of open about who they are. And you went through this period of time where everyone's hiding who they are. And I think, to me, that's very sad. You know, everybody should have a chance to be their actual person.
I know, but and the joy in that, Michael, for me, is think about these guys that now they're looking down on this film and they're looking down on the acceptance.
Yeah.
We expose a military couple in World War II. They were in the 42nd Infantry, and their division was called, get this, you can't write this stuff, their division was called the Rainbow Division. So they were part of the troop that liberated Dachau. They went up into the Alps. afterwards, a few days later, and in the snow they exchanged rings, and there's a whole collection of pictures of soldiers. And the only connection we have of any of these 350 pictures of somebody who knows about the pictures, that one of the soldiers of the couple, nephew, said, my uncle would go up and bring down the shoebox, and he'd open up these pictures and he'd show me these pictures. And then this nephew is still alive. Where's the ring that the two gentlemen exchanged back in World War II? So we do have some connection, but I think you hit a very interesting. The connection is that this has gone on before. This was there, and it is today, and we stand on these gentlemen's shoulders. So I can't say enough about my participation as the writer, director, producer of somebody who said, I think this needs to be gotten out there, and we did it. We got it out there.
Yeah, I love that, and I think you're looking at it the right way. If you can imagine all of these gentlemen looking down, and I just kind of think about what would be going through their minds looking down this. They'd be amazement, I'm sure, probably some tears, it could, depending on how you want to look at it, it could be a very positive experience. So I think that's a great way
to think that their love mattered.
Yeah.
Their love mattered, and their love transcended all these years and is now being exposed for other people to like
it survived.
Yeah, and pass this torch, light the torch of somebody else. So they say, you know what? I should live my life in an authentic way. I should be proud of who I love and not ashamed of who I love.
Right.
And it makes you think about that next picture that you take, Michael. How long is that going to be around? 100 years from now.
Yeah, it makes me want to go through the pictures and make sure I get rid of the ones.
Oh yeah.
What kind of reaction are you getting about the documentary? Are you getting positive reaction by and large?
It's overwhelming. People are tearful. People are coming up and hugging me. People are, film festivals are honoring it. We've won over 20 film festivals.
That's amazing.
It's speaking to people, not only LGBT, because it's speaking to the love that's around us, the joy that's around us, and the opportunity that a picture gives us. Like I said, since working on this, I really cherish picture that's being taken of us. We feel that in the film we feel we found the first selfie. There's one picture of two guys in a mirror and the camera, and they have some contraption. It's like 1910, and they have some contraption that they're holding, and their arms around each other.
Oh, that's amazing.
They're shooting the picture into a mirror. We call it in the mirror.
Yeah, that might be the first selfie.
Who knew? We discovered it.
That's amazing. It had to be so much fun digging these up and going through the pictures. I'm not sure I would have gotten out of that. I'd have spent so much time doing that. I'm not sure I could have taken it and made it into something.
Well, actually, Michael, you're hitting a really good point, because experientially, when you view the TV special, the film, that's exactly what the audience does. When I talked about they surrender to it, it's not just a montage of pictures. We have the music, we have the narration of the pictures that have things on the back. We have quotes from famous gay authors about love. So it is you feel people surrendering. It's like, oh, let me just escape into this picture and fantasize about the lives in 1910 and 1840 it's I just encourage people to on that journey. It's something.
Yeah, amazing. How do you wrap it up at the end? Is it a hopeful message at the end? How does it kind of tie up?
We realize that love is love, and it's universal, and the ability and the need to express love is innate.
Yeah.
Those we love, we want to put our arm around them. We want to kiss them. We want to nuzzle up to them. That's in all of us. And the fact that these gentlemen did it in a time that was not,
Yeah.
they were going to be thrown in prison. They were going to lose their livelihoods. The fact that they were so courageous, that they had that being brave soldiers.
Yeah.
They had that in them. So I think the journey is for us to say, you know what, I'm going to live my life authentically. I'm going to love who I love, and not let anything stand in the way, because these gentlemen had everything in their way.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, that's amazing. So where can we watch?
Well, it's on Here TV, HERE.TV. And Here TV is carried on every cable and satellite system in the United States. It's all there. Here TV is also on every streaming platform in the United States. So you could go to here.tv, HERE.TV, and find out what the streaming platforms are, or order it up on your cable or satellite system.
Yeah, it's such a worthwhile, undertaking that I'm sure it's going to get just an absolute ton of support, because it's very unique. I love the picture aspect, because you don't see films or shows that really take that as an angle. I love that.
Right. And getting a glimpse into their lives, and also hearing that narration on the back. We can put the picture together, literally, of these gentlemen's lives. It's a fun immersion into history.
Was there anything that surprised you through the process?
I think how I connected to each and every picture. When you cull down from 3,700 to 350, those 350, and in the editing process, and my editor, Billy Clift, and we had names for each couple. Oh yeah, put in the Harvey couple. Oh, the couple kissing on the bench. We had names for everybody, and they all be each picture, usually a picture in its whole, a film, TV series becomes your baby.
Yeah.
In this particular TV special, each picture in the picture became our babies, because we love them so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you're putting something like that together, how does that work using those photographs? Do you have to get permission to use the photographs, or is enough time went by, it doesn't really
enough time went by? Everyone's dead, and it's kind of free reign when someone's dead. Yeah. We had no connection other than they were purchased. They were legally purchased or found, and so there's no really, the only connection we had was that one nephew of the two soldiers that went up in the Alps. But
I love that story, because it's only been a little bit of time that wasn't an issue in the military.
Yes.
When you think about it, it's just been a few years, really. Right. With that, and to be that far back, that's amazing.
And Michael, with the passage of the Respect for Marriage Act in December, 74% of Americans feel that these marriage rights should be guaranteed. When do 74% of Americans agree on anything? But 74%. And then if you look at the 26% that's makes up the 100%, 13% of those 26% think they don't have an opinion either way. So we're really talking about 13%, and I don't judge, but people, have their own beliefs. They have a right. But we're only dealing with 13% of people who really.
That is kind of amazing when you really think about it, because you're right. We don't agree on anything. We're usually split right down the middle.
Right. So this we do agree on. We agree on joy. We agree on love, and that matters.
It does matter. Yeah, absolutely. Any plans for additional work along these lines?
Well, I also produce a show called Girls Voices Now, which I'm really about. I won an Emmy for it last year. We give cameras.
Congrats.
Thank you. We give cameras to underrepresented little girls, 13 through 18. We match them with female mentors who look like them, and we say, go tell your stories. Go tell your stories. They come back with these heartfelt stories that you couldn't even write. And I put them together in a series called Girls Voices Now. That's also on Here TV. And these stories are so intimate. I remember last year, Mehran, her story was about, she's a Muslim girl and she had to wear a hijab, and it's like how she was laughed at and made fun of and bullied. And when we're there at the Emmys, and she said, "Oh, David, we'll never win. We're up against, Disney. We're up against Sesame Street. My story, I didn't even want to go on camera." I said, "Mehran, the more personal a story is, the more universal, because we all have a hijab on our heads of some sort."
Yeah.
When we won, she broke down and just bawled and cried. Her story resonated with the Emmy voters and resonated with all of us because it's universal. It's, we all have something that is personal and we don't want to explore, but we all have something, and that's universal, So it's a beautiful series. I'm very proud of that. And we continue on. I've got a kickboxing film that I've written, which I'm real excited about. Kickboxing, it's about a kickboxer, and he goes out and fights crime, and he's teamed up with an older kickboxer.
You had me at kickboxer.
Yeah. So the only thing that is there's nothing, Here TV is an LGBT, we're like gay HBO. The only thing that's gay about it is that our audiences will know that the kickboxer that we're casting is openly gay in his life. There's nothing gay about the film, but that really is precious to know that we are giving positive role images to LGBTQ.
That's right.
People, that they too can star in an action picture, or they can be a kickboxer hero themselves.
I mean, isn't that where we're trying to get to where, at times those type of things can seem kind of forced into the story, and what we really want is for it not to. It's just a part of the story. It's not a big deal. That's just who that person is. That's not really a thing. It's just, you're just watching somebody on the screen.
Bingo. Boy, did you have good parents. No, that's exactly it. There's, who cares? Let's watch a good kickboxer film, no matter where it's coming from.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
I love that. Have you, through your life, have you been able to, or has your family been able to kind of enjoy this with you? Were you able to say, "Hey, look, I actually did follow my dream, and this is what it came out
to"? I've gotten 4 Emmy nominations, and one last year finally. I'm sad to say that my parents have both passed on, and they didn't get to see that, but they saw my films, good, bad, and ugly. I remember I would bring home, they lived in Florida, and I would fly home to visit them, and I'd bring home my latest projects, and we'd put them in and watch them. And
Awesome.
My dad, even if it was a piece of crap, my dad would say, "I understand why you did this film, David." He got it, because just working as a journeyman actor is so important. You just have to keep throwing the spaghetti up.
That's right.
And that's what I did. I have a career of that.
I love that you've kind of embraced that, and you've made your own opportunities along the way.
Thank you. And I get up every day trying to go for the gold. I don't want to work on projects that don't have a meaning, that don't have a message, that don't try to some agenda that I believe in. And even if the agenda is just good art, good good fun comedy, you know, that has its place too. So that's what I try to do every day.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you can tell, you can see the joy that you have doing it. And you know, it's kind of infectious. So good for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And it's people like you who get it, Michael, that allow folks to come out and tell projects. So I mean, you're part of the process and part of the great tapestry of good. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Oh, I know we got to wrap up, but I should mention we loved you in Gods and Monsters.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
I think that's I don't know how, but it feels like that's an underrated movie.
You know, yeah, and with Brendan now up for an Academy Award, I really, you know, it's amazing. His journey has been amazing. And working with, I played Sir Ian McKellen's doctor in that.
Yeah.
And speaking of LGBT rights, he would say, he goes, you know, I only got into the theater because the pretty boys were there. You know? And then he also shared with me, he said, every time he's in a hotel room, he goes to the Bible. You know how sometimes there's a Bible on the nightstand.
Oh yeah.
Rips out the page of Leviticus, you know, that says, you know, he just rips that page out that man should not lie with another man or whatever. I thought that was his little thing of activism, you know.
Yeah. No, I love that, and that sounds just like him.
Yeah, right. It does. Yeah.
That's terrific. Well, David, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time. This has been the best. I'm a pretty big fan of yours. I watched you now because we're about the same age, and you've been doing this most of your life. So I've kind of followed you as you went on. It for me, I'm sure I've seen those McDonald's commercials, but it probably started around the Robotech time. And you've done so much since then. Real honor to talk with you.
Michael, thank you so much. And I really appreciate your effort as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Couple quick things before we wrap. I think we've hit on everything, but anything else that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Well, I show run and write several series for Hugh TV. So I would encourage folks, if you like the programming of Girls' Voices Now or 100 Years of Men in Love, there's amazing story form series. We acquire the best of European films on Hugh TV. There are about 700 different offerings of quality stuff that I'm very proud to be associated with a network that says, here are the positive role images, and this is what we're projecting.
Yeah, that's been needed for a while. So that's awesome. How do you find the time to write multiple series?
It's difficult. It's difficult. You really have to get up early in the morning before everything starts going. You know, you just have to carve out that time. But you're an artist. I mean, no matter what art you do, you write, paint, this and that, you need the silence. You need to tap.
You're right.
You need to tap into your inner voice and allow that to come out uninterrupted. I find that early in the morning is the best time to do that.
Yeah, my grandfather was a Baptist minister, but he wrote several books, and his time was like 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning. He would get up every day my entire life and would write, and that was his time. And then about the time everybody else was starting to get up, then he was ready to start his day because he's already done his writing. And
you get that release too. You don't go through your day saying, you know, I need to get something out in some.
You know, you've accomplished something.
Yeah, right. Good for you, man.
Last thing, David. Where can we find you on social media?
Everything I do is really on here.tv. So you can just go to here.tv and know that I'm sending out those messages.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's terrific. I hope a lot of people will tune in that haven't checked it out before, because there really is a lot of really good programming on there. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, David, hold on one second. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Hope you guys enjoyed that, David Millbern. And I've been a big fan of his for a while, and I could have just read off basically his resume, but I was holding back. I definitely wanted to touch on Robotech because I'm nerdy and I was a big fan. But I think he's doing such commendable work, very positive work, and I hope that if you're listening or watching, you'll go and check out Here TV and check out some of this programming and support it and support David, because I definitely think that it's worthwhile. And the one thing, I don't like to get too political or too give too many of my views, but I will say the one thing that we can use more of is love and understanding and acceptance. I guess that's three things, but we could definitely use that. And it's nice to watch something with a positive message. I think that's just absolutely terrific. So please support the documentary, the show. It's 100 Years of Men in Love, the Accidental Collection. And I meant to ask him if he does any photography himself, or if this inspired him to try his hand at photography. I would not be surprised if it did. Some of those pictures are just amazing. It's very joyful, I think. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I did want to, I loved him in Texas Rangers with Alfred Molina. I thought he was really, really good. I did mention Gods and Monsters. He brought up Slumber Party Massacre, but he used to show up on a few different things that I like Seventh Heaven. He was on, there was a new version of the Addams Family. I think he made an appearance on that, and a bunch of other stuff. I kind of want to go back and check out the McDonald's commercials, because I know I watched them. We all had those glasses. 70s and 80s, we loved our fast food glasses. I still got some of them. Just terrific. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this time. Definitely don't take that for granted. There's a million podcasts out there. Really appreciate that you spent some time with us. Today, we posted our 516th episode, which to me seems like a lot. It's been 4 years. That seems like a lot. It's done with love. We absolutely enjoy doing this, and I hope that comes through when you watch. If you are joining us for the first time and you're thinking, okay, these guys are pretty good, I'd like to see some more or listen to some more, we could definitely use your support. And there's a couple of easy ways to do that, and they're free. If you're watching, you can go to YouTube, MeisterCon Pod. Just hit that subscribe button. Push the button. Really does help us out. Makes a difference for us. And it's free. Gives you access to all of the video content for the podcast. If you're listening, same thing. Wherever you're listening to your podcast, whatever app you're using, just subscribe, and that helps us out. You can find all 516 episodes and counting on our website, meistercon.com. You can get the audio and the video versions. It'll also let you know if we're doing anything in studio, if we're going to a convention, if we're going on location, and whatever we have going on, it'll be on the website, meistercon.com. So definitely check that out and support us as well. Really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.